Hey, what's up, everybody? Fred Minnick here with a simple question. What's the best bourbon for your money these days? Now, this is a question that I posed across my social media platforms, and I got a lot of really interesting answers. Put in the comment section what you think the best bang for your buck or the best bourbon for your money is these days. Put it in the comment section right now. Let's have this discussion. But I want to go ahead and head over to my new platform that I just joined, Threads, which is supposed to be this competitor to Twitter. While I posted this question across all my platforms, it seemed to really take off on Threads. A lot of people answered this question, and I also found the answers to be quite fascinating. So there you go. You can see my new Threads profile there. Bourbon Sherpa says Jack Daniel's single barrels are fire. Of course, that's a picture with me and him and some of my other Club Marzipan members in there. We just did a big Jack Daniel's barrel pick. We actually picked 3 rye barrel proofs and then 1 Tennessee whiskey barrel proof. If you want to learn more about Club Marzipan, you can find more information about that in my description. And look here. Walker's Wheels Whiskey says, honestly, I've been impressed with 2XO. Now, when we're talking about best bang for your buck, I'm not imagining 2XO being in that category. That is, I've seen it on the shelves for $80. You know, for me, best bourbon for the money is not $80. That's usually a $40 and below proposition. But like I said, these answers came from all over the place, and I had a lot of activity here, but it gave me an idea. It helps me understand the pulse of what people are willing to spend, and it gives me an idea of what people think is value. So I found that one a bit of a shocker. And looks like R. Herring says J.W. Dant over E.H. Taylor in a recent blind tasting. So J.W. Dant, of course, from Heaven Hill. That is going to be one that has a lot of bang for your buck because they don't put any money in the marketing. So another vote down here for Jack Daniel's Single Barrel. Wild Turkey 101 and Russell's Reserve, both coming from the house of the Russells. Wild Turkey, that is always going to be a crowd pleaser when it comes to the bang for buck discussion. Now here are the two that I probably would gravitate toward, and that's the Four Roses Single Barrel and Evan Williams Bottled and Bond. That's coming from Try It Neat. Evan Williams Bottled and Bond won my best everyday bourbon a couple years ago, and it always does really well in my blind tastings. I think that's fantastic. But Four Roses Single Barrel, to me, that's starting to go up to the higher tiers of, and I'm seeing it on the shelves for $50, $60. So it's beginning to eclipse what that value proposition is. But it depends on the liquor store. If you find a liquor store that still fairly prices their bourbon, Four Roses Single Barrel is absolutely incredible bang for your buck. Isaac _D says Early Times Bottled and Bond. Curious which Bottled and Bond that is from Early Times. Is it going to be the Brown Forman or the Sazerac version? Another one here for Jack Daniels. You know, when I had asked this question a few years ago, Jack Daniels would not be anywhere on this list, and instead there'd be, you know, if it was on the list, people would be like, not bourbon, it is bourbon, 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 bourbon. And so you'd have like this back and forth, and that kind of what would lead the discussion with Jack Daniels. So this is very interesting to me. Here I am just kind of a quarter way through the thread of threads, and Jack Daniels has been mentioned 3, I think maybe 4 times, so quite interesting. Nerdy Ratchet, for my money, I think Knob Creek Single Barrel picks are up there on the off the shelf. The Elijah Craig Small Batch, and for craft, New Riff is hard to beat, he says. So those are some of them, and it looks like I have to actually log into my Threads account. I don't have it connected to my computer, so I'm going to have to come off of that view and go into the phone. So let's see what else we have here from folks. Oh, here's a good one. The Bourbon Goose, Still Austin Cask Strength. I agree with that. Still Austin Cask Strength is incredible bang for your buck. It was in the running for best straight bourbon at my spirits competition, the Ascot Awards. So I absolutely applaud that call out. Power of Bourbon writes, any special release from Maker's Mark and what go-to whiskey? Everyone will agree with Blanton's. I believe he said that tongue-in-cheek. For now, my real opinion is Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, Russell's Reserve Single Barrel, and Wilderness Trail Single Barrel. Those are pretty good ones. Although I think Wilderness Trail Single Barrels are a little harder to come by. Food and Spirit says Old Forester 1910. Solid. Although I don't particularly like that one. I know a lot of people do. More Art, another vote for Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, and one for Old Forester Birthday Proof. Barrel Proof. When I say Old Forester, my mind just goes birthday bourbon, so I said birthday proof instead of barrel proof. That's funny. Scotch and Whiskey, Russell's Reserve 10-year, Jack Daniels Barrel Proof, Jack Daniels Single Barrel. Again, more votes for Jack Daniels. This is shocking to me. Rare Breed, Maker's Cask Strength, New Riff, Penelope, Toasted Char 3 or 4. All right, Scotch's Whiskey. I think I kind of did ask for one. I mean, you did what I do, and I give you a whole list, so I appreciate that. Bourbon for Beginners says Baker's. Matt Kinder says Early Times Bottled and Bond. Someone else says another vote for Wild Turkey 101. A vote for Mellow Corn. All right, so hey, let's have a discussion here, Access Bourbon. Mellow Corn is not bourbon. It is corn whiskey. There's a difference between corn whiskey and bourbon. I still like to vote, but it's not bourbon. Danny Gardini says Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. Right now it seems like this is a three-way tie between Jack Daniels of one form or another, Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, and a Wild Turkey, one form or another. So I think that's telling you something right there. 2 more votes for Jack Daniels. Another one for J.W. Dance. Another one for Wild Turkey, Old Forester 1920, Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond, and a Yellowstone hand-picked collection. Let's see. For $22 a bottle, Matt Minshall says Larceny and or Wild Turkey Kentucky Spirit. Another one for Wild Turkey 101. One for Michter's Small Batch and Bullet. That one you don't see every day. That one's coming from Lucas Schulter. But those are good picks. Another one for Russell's Reserve, the 10-year. Another Evan Williams. Let's see here. I'm just gonna keep scrolling through this thread. We got a commenter here from London saying Buffalo Trace is only 20 pounds, and Wild Turkey 101 is 24, and Four Roses Small Batch is 32. I cannot imagine what it would be like to be in a country where I'm limited to that, to just a handful. So yeah, that's just a few of what people were saying. And for me, what's really telling the story is how prominent Jack Daniels is in this conversation. How Elijah Craig Barrel Proof is right there at the top as well. And Heaven Hill has always had a lot of products in there. We heard a few votes for J.W. Dant, Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond, Evan Williams Bottled and Bond. So a lot of Heaven Hill representation here. And even the Mellow Corn was is a Heaven Hill product. And then you had a great deal of Wild Turkey votes. What you did not hear, other than from London and one tongue-in-cheek vote for Blanton's, you did not hear anyone really giving any value for Buffalo Trace or saying best bang for your buck or, whatever we're calling this list. But you did hear people talk about Early Times Bottled and Bond. So I wonder how much of that is left over from the Brown-Forman Early Times Bottled and Bond, which Sazerac purchased at, the parent company of Buffalo Trace, purchased at a couple years ago. So we're starting to see their stuff out on the market now. I wonder if that is the bang for the buck they're talking about. So Early Times would be the only thing that Sazerac had prominent mentions from on this. In some of my other areas, I had people tell me William LaRue Weller was the best for the money because it was so good. I was like, I don't think you quite understand the question if you're picking William LaRue Weller for the best bourbon for the money. But yeah, if you are able to purchase unlimited supply of William LaRue Weller, my hat's off to you. Congratulations, you can do that. But that's going to do it here. What is your pick for best bourbon for the money? Make sure you put it in the comment section. I'll try to reply to you. And if you want to learn more about Club Marzipan, where we're always having these discussions and learning a thing or two as well about whiskey and doing some barrel picks, go ahead and learn about that in the description. And for fun, I'm going to put the link to the original post on Threads in the description as well, so you can feel free to comment on that over there if you like. But thanks for tuning in. Be safe out there, and remember, vodka sucks unless it's being used to clean up a dead cat. Cheers.